Hi, my name is Paul Harder-Cohn and welcome to Coh&Co. This week, I would like to talk about adjusting a bike so that it fits you and you can ride comfortably. While I am far from being a professional bike fitter, I do spend my days designing bikes, and a big part of that is ergonomics. I also spend a considerable amount of time riding through town, where it often surprises me how many people are riding bikes that are either way too big for them or way too small. Others, they're riding bikes that may fit them, but they aren't adjusted so that they're properly seated. They're either sitting too high or sitting too low. Coh&Co does not offer bike fitting, but we do like to provide some down-to-earth guidance to help our customers choose and adjust their new bicycles. Ergonomic considerations also play a role in how we design and why we design our bikes as we do. I'd like to touch on a few points that should help you feel more comfortable on your bike and even improve your riding performance. First off, it's important to think about how you prefer to ride. If you're the type of rider who likes to sit upright and look ahead as though you were sitting at the dining table, then you're probably going to feel most comfortable on a bike with a shorter frame, slightly higher handlebars, and a broader seat. If you're the type of rider that prefers to zip through town in a bit more of a road bike position, then you'll probably want your bars a bit lower and a narrower saddle. If you're the type of rider that likes to tread on the pedals one at a time, you'll feel more comfortable with a slightly slack seat tube angle that will position you a bit behind the pedals, like on a classic upright urban bike. However, if you're the type of person who prefers to spin and keep your cadence high, then just like you're riding a road bike, you'll probably feel better with a steeper frame that positions you a bit more on top of the pedals. So, with these thoughts in mind, let's take a quick look at how to adjust your bike. A good bike fit is all about optimizing the contact points between you and your bike. Here are some points and some tips for measuring them yourself. Remember, you should visit a professional bike fitter if you're looking to alleviate a specific pain or peak your performance. Frame size being the foundation of a good fit, it's probably best to begin before buying the bike. Frame size is often based on seat tube length and thus inseam. At Coh&Co, we base our sizes on the length of a frame. We do this because we think seat height and handlebar height can be adjusted parameters, whereas frame length is fixed and not very adjustable without stretching the frame. An exception to this is our folding bike Siggy. Siggy allows a rider to not just adjust the height of the saddle and the height of the handlebars, but also the forward and aft position of the handlebars, and therefore the effective frame length. This is also a good way to tune the riding characteristics for different riding positions and a different riding experience. Our Eric bikes, on the other hand, are designed for a moderately sporty forward riding position. They are also intended to support you in a position that will allow you to keep aware of the traffic around you. We try to accommodate this by keeping the top tube a little bit shorter than we would on a performance road bike. This also provides an intermediate riding position. In general, I've noticed that people tend to gravitate towards frames that are too large for them, often requiring a low saddle position and the need to stretch to reach the brakes, especially when running drop bars. My opinion is that if you're in doubt, it's probably better to have a smaller size as opposed to one that's too large. Saddle height is crucial for power transfer and for comfort. Too high, and you'll need to rock and roll from side to side to reach the pedals on each stroke. That can load up the hips and bring on saddle sores. Too low, and you can overload your knees and also bring on hip pains. Saddle placement is not a science of millimeters, but you will most likely feel the difference between a centimeter or maybe even a half a centimeter. I measure saddle height with the crank arm at the bottom of the pedal stroke at 6 o'clock. Your legs should be very slightly bent with your heel on the pedal while sitting evenly on the saddle in a relatively normal riding position. Yes, I did say heel. This position is a good rule of thumb that will help you to adjust the saddle to a height that will allow you to ride without needing to rock back and forth or point your toes downwards to reach the pedals. Where you sit on the saddle can also affect power and comfort. Adjusting the saddle fore and aft on its rails will also help you to tune your riding experience. In general, for road cycling, a good starting point is to have a plumb line. A line dropped from your kneecap should bisect the axle of the pedal when the crank arm is at 3 o'clock on the right side of the bike. Riding an urban bike, you may find that you're a bit behind this. Fore and aft position can also be used to fine-tune your reach, but it should not be something used to compensate for a frame that is too long or too short. This adjustment is very much a question of personal preference. Saddle pitch can also really affect your comfort. A saddle that is pitched down in the front will encourage you to slide forward on the narrow part of the saddle, causing discomfort and putting undue strain on your hands and arms. Pitching it up does the opposite. In general, keeping the long part of the saddle as level as possible is a good place to start, and the fine-tune if you feel yourself moving forward or back on the saddle. Like most things concerning comfort, saddles are very much so a personal preference. But they're also a question of how your bike is set up. In general, a narrow saddle is more suited to a more aggressive riding position, while a wide, cushy saddle will work better for a sit-up and look ahead, straight riding position. If you're experiencing discomfort, then start by considering your riding position and its saddle adjustment before running out and buying a new saddle. Now we get to the front end of the bike. Reach and drop are two issues that, although usually less relevant for urban cyclists, can be important, especially on long stretches of road. Reach refers to the distance from the saddle to the handlebars. Drop, on the other hand, refers to the height difference between the saddle and the handlebars. While a classic urban bicycle will often place the handlebars above the saddle, a road bike with drop bars will often place the bars below the height of the saddle for a more aggressive riding position. At Coh&Co, we keep the handlebars just at or just below the intended saddle height. And when combined with a shorter reach, this affords for a moderate riding position. Reach and drop affect comfort, power, and handling. Unfortunately, this is one of the trickier aspects of measuring yourself. A good reference point is a comfortable position where your back has a slight bend and you should be positioned more upright for recreational riding and more forward for performance riding. This varies greatly with your own body proportions, and somebody with relatively long legs will need a shorter cockpit, while someone with the same height with a longer torso will require a longer cockpit. When running drop bars, it's a good idea to measure yourself so that you'll be comfortable on the brake hoods, where you'll be spending much of your time. Otherwise, you'll tend to move back to onto the bars, which will cause you to twist your wrists, and that can cause discomfort, numbing, and even shoulder pains. Finally, we're on to handlebar width. Once again, this is also a function of riding style. If you're sitting upright, you can get away with wider set of bars. If you're riding off-road or standing up a lot, then wider bars might also be of an advantage. In general, your bars should allow your arms to extend straight forward. Unfortunately, most bikes with drop bars are fitted with handlebars on the wide side. A good rule of thumb here is that your bar width should match your shoulder width. Shoulder width is measured across from side to side where the bony part of your shoulder meets the arm without taking your arm into account. Your bar width should measure the same distance between the center of the brake hoods as you have across your shoulders. Flat bars or similar, with or without angle or rise, may be a bit less critical, but they will also affect comfort depending on your riding position and how much weight you're putting on forward onto the bars. I hope some of the above can help you to adjust your bike and to ride more comfortably. Please remember that if you're struggling with specific pains or reoccurring discomfort, then a professional bike fitter can take into account your body measurements, your riding style, and flexibility to create a personalized fit that will maximize your comfort, power, and efficiency. Thank you for watching, and if you want to join us or follow us, please click the subscribe button, and if you have any thoughts about future videos, leave a comment in the notes below. Thank you.